Now, I know that there was a lot of infusion of talent and legends in Raw 30, but there may have been some that were wondering where Mick Foley was and why Mick Foley, of all people, were not included or was not included on Raw 30. And Mick Foley actually went and let people know why he wasn't there on Monday. The reason basically was because of his heavy schedule the last month, that he has been on the road the last 32 days, and that he wanted to take some time off the road and hang out with his family and spend time with his wife and kids. So that is completely understandable, and props to Mick Foley for putting his family first. Another note is that Britt Baker, unfortunately, has been removed from the triple threat match set for Dynamite tonight, as Britt Baker is said to be injured. And instead, we will get Toni Storm versus Ruby Soho in a one-on-one match tonight. It is interesting either way because Ruby Soho has been one of the more prominently featured women in the women's division, and also Toni Storm recently turned heel with Saraya, so that's going to be an interesting turn of events. And maybe Ruby Soho may have found another tag team feud, because the fact of the matter is Ruby Soho is a former WWE superstar, and I think if the extent of the heel turn for Saraya and Toni Storm was that they've been on the big stage and that they're not the homegrown talent, well, technically Ruby Soho is not a homegrown star either. So there may be something there with Ruby Soho joining up with Toni Storm and Saraya. But I'm sure that's something we will have to wait and see what happens this week, tonight on Dynamite, for what will be an interesting match, but nothing but the best to Saraya. Nothing but the best to Britt Baker, who has been an integral part of the women's division over the last 12 months. Speaking of AEW, though, and something that I usually make a mark of anytime we talk about AEW in the news videos, and that is AEW's video game Fight Forever, which AEW's video game Fight Forever, I was thrown off a little bit because I think 90% of the time when you see a trailer for a video game, that the video game is right around the corner to be released. But the rumors had it that AEW's video game was still a year at least away from being released, set for release in December 2023. But right now, there is a reason, according to WrestleZone, why the video game may have been held back and delayed, and the reason is because of the ESRB rating. And for those who may not know what the ESRB rating is, it is the company that goes along with rating the game from rated E, T, M, whatever the case is. It's basically the company. It's basically the company that rates the games before they are released, and the ESRB rating is what's holding up AEW's video game, because right now, according to reports, the AEW video game is bordering on a rated M release or rating, and it is not where WWE's games, I believe, are usually rated T. I could be wrong, but I do believe WWE's games are rated T, but AEW's game, due to excessive violence, with barbed wire, light tubes, thumbtacks, blood, etc., was hovering around the M, and due to, sponsorships and advertising and yada yada yada, rated M games are a little bit harder to advertise. So I think AEW may be fighting to get the game dropped to a rated T or a T rating with the ESRB, as opposed to a rated M, which is completely understandable, but it does explain why the game is being held up as far as release is concerned. or as far as being released. And I do hope that they can figure this out and get this sorted, or get things sorted, so we can get the AEW video game sooner rather than later. Speaking of random news, as we ended the last video with, but speaking of random news, Johnny Morrison, who has been featured in various roles, in various positions, in different places, over time, he is now going to be featured in a boxing match, a celebrity boxing match against one of the people behind Epic Mealtime, or the old Epic Mealtime YouTube channel. It is not surprising, knowing John Morrison. I mean, John Morrison, he pops up anywhere and everywhere. So it's not surprising in that regard, but it is surprising celebrity boxing, because it just doesn't seem like something that you would expect from John Morrison. That's just me, though. But the other bit of news, as I do seem to love, MLW has their next show set for, or next major event set for, February the 4th at 2300 Arena in Philadelphia. It is MLW Super Fight, and a new match has been added. It is a no ropes catch wrestling match, noted for its brutal submission hold, and incorporating several English wrestling styles. Catch wrestling is a violent form of combat sports. In catch wrestling, expect to see some of the most brutal tosses, suplexes ever. No wrestling holds or moves are banned, regardless of how dangerous they might be. It is Alexander Kane against against Davey Boy Smith Jr. Sorry, I'm used to calling him by his WWE name. As both men are leaders of factions within the ranks of MLW, but it is rare to see a no-rope catch wrestling match, especially on American soil, which I think the last time I saw one was in New Japan. Actually, I take that back. The Battle in the Valley show. Homicide. It's Homicide's match on the Battle in the Valley show in February. So there's going to be 2 in 1 month. One in New Japan and one in MLW. But if you want to see a stacked event, it is MLW Super Fight, and I will keep coverage up as we get closer to February 4th for MLW Super Fight. That is hardcore match between Ricky Shane Page and one called Manders. Taya Valkyrie will defend her featherweight championship against Delmi Exo. Dragon Gate Open the Twin Gate champions Big Boss Schmooza and Kaiser against to be announced. John Hennigan against Willie Mack. A dumpster match, a dumpster 4-way, which is interesting. I've never heard of a dumpster match being a 4-way. Microman, the real one, Mance Warner, and to be announced. Fill out the 4-way. Leo Rush versus Davey Richards, which should be an incredible match. Davey Boy Smith Jr. against Alex Kane in a no-ropes catch wrestling match. And of course, Jacob Fatu challenges the current reigning, defending, undisputed MLW World Heavyweight Champion Alexander Hammerstone in the main event of MLW Super Fight on February the 4th. If you thought action stops with WWE and AEW, then you are missing some of the most underrated action in professional wrestling, as MLW has their Super Fight on February the 4th and then premieres on Reels that Tuesday on February the 7th, or that Wednesday on February the 7th. Actually, no, it was Tuesday. Sorry. Tuesday, February the 7th, MLW premieres on Reels with MLW Underground, their second program on television, which shows how much success MLW is having and the momentum they have going in their way very recently. Or that they've had going in their way very recently. But either way, this has been the news, and I will see you in the next video.